Good afternoon, Director Hagunachalaka ADCP here. Today we'll be covering United Kingdom, London and the devil worshippers. So we'll start with walking in backwards. Quite often, now people that get involved in these devil worship cases, when you start doing the cases, now when I was in the FBI, they actually had devil worshippers in the FBI. And even at their heads, the top, we're talking about the top tier of everyone, the top of the organisation, Christopher Wray, they come in backwards, which is pretending to do the work. We're doing that work. They abolish the work. Quite often they remove you, and we know the different programs, mental health, homelessness, or they move you to another area, demotion. We know the different ways they remove you. So they come in backwards, pretending to do the work. Then they don't do it. They do fake work. And this is quite prevalent in the United States and the United Kingdom now as well, as these groups have infiltrated the FBI and law enforcement. They do all their cases. Now, quite often when a minister comes into power, they will devil worship a kid as part of a ceremony. Black and white people. When a minister comes into power, a child and then on the news a child would go missing, quite often never found. They'll devil worship the child in the pit, and they're quite often at the operations centre. We know that they're at the operations centre, at the LRAD centre, when everyone's looking for them. Quite more often than not, they're at the operations centre. And that's true in the United Kingdom and in the United States as well. And we've seen recently in Colombia, 3 children go missing. They were in fact with Michelle Obama. And I notified the authorities that they're with the LRAD Operations Centre. And it was true, and they found the kids largely due to my efforts. So there's a lot to cover here. So coming in backwards, they often, when they come into the building, they would come in backwards, they would walk backwards. It's a Brethren Freemasons thing, where it's the way they abolish the work by walking in. It's called walking in backwards, and they pretend to do the work, and they would remove you, even kill you, even murder you. And it's a way of removing the work, and then after a month or two, they're doing the work. Then they take the money for the work. And we've seen that happen with Burgess. We've seen that happen with Duncan Lewis. We've seen that happen here in Australia. So we're first-hand authorities on how they go about that. And they started doing this in the United States, and they've taken all the top positions. And when this work comes around, the devil worship cases, the kids, it's a number fold. It's more than one thing happening. Quite often there's about 8, 9, 12 different things that are happening at once. It is very difficult to explain. So you've got to get all the components of what they're doing and piece it together. They're at the operations centre. They walk in backwards. And it's happening in the United States with our FBI here in Canberra. They have devil worship cases, and we know the common denominators. If they have a child case, they're the foster parents, the body is charred, and the body is eaten. And they're the foster parents of the missing kids. And that brings the alarm bells that they may have been devil worship. And they call it a ceremony, pagan, and even Mi5. In the United Kingdom, they're Mi5, Mi6. In the United States, they're law enforcement and the local ministers, but not the US senators. We checked all the US senators out. In the United Kingdom, they're Mi5 and Mi6, and they have a ceremony. These people, they adorn their ceremony clothes, the Brethren and the Freemasons usually. They have a ceremony, they call it a ceremony, pagan. and they would wank on the body. And we know the way they do that. They wank on the body and eat the body to spawn Satan. Ugh. To spawn Satan, God bless. Active service. The gospel according to St. John. God bless. Now we know that they would wank on the body, on the child's body, and eat the body, and they'd burn in a circular pit, in a devil worship pit. They would get rid of the body. Now they were all pedophiles. They're with the pedophiles and the prostitutes, debauchery, pagan church. Everything is fabricated. All their cases are all lies. Quite often then they would frame someone for it. Now so we go back a couple of steps. They're at the operation centre, everyone's looking for them, kids have gone missing. Then they would frame someone for them. Family member, someone close by, or someone that solved the case. All their cases are all fabricated. Lies. They call it kidding. They'll get you for child stuff. They always say that I'm wanking on kids. They call it kidding. They've got their own language, a talk language, where the values are all reversed. Now in the United Kingdom, the Mi5, oh my yerba mate tea, God bless. In the United Kingdom, the Mi5, and they will have you can see whether the foster parents are murdered kids or whether they have child cases pending, and then they want the case to be held secretly. Quite often they would attack the church. They get together, this paganism, debauchery with the gay and lesbian groups, debauchery, denouncing the church. The church do a lot of good work all around the world. So they attack anyone that's good. A couple of inherent things about the devil worship. It's always going to be bad. They do very bad things to people. They aspire to be like the devil, cause wars. When they get into top levels of government, they cause wars, hardship, suffering. They need to be removed from all the top levels. So we need your help. I've been battling them on my own for more than 19 years now. In fact, today they framed me for Michelle Pogmore's case. They were all charged to steal my money. Where there's logs, in Australia, where there's logs, in the news article there'll be logs and burnt logs. They're devil worshipped. Their child cases are secret, so they're with them. When they have a child case, they accuse someone. Quite often they're with them. They hold their cases in secret. The head of Mi5, he's a devil worshipper. Mi6 were all devil worshippers. I'm still Mi5 and Mi6 and CIA, and they're not. But they maintain their power in the office, etc. And when they catch up with me, it's going to be drastic. But you've got to fulfill your duties. So they're in the top positions of Mi5, Mi6. They got child cases that they want to keep secret. They use brainwave, Mi5 technology, brainwave mind reader. Now, when they have all the Mi5 equipment, they have this surveillance database in Australia where the camera's in the TV. They get kids in compromising positions. And they would frame the father against the kids. the mother, one of the relatives, having sex surveillance from the surveillance database. Quite often from the police operations surveillance database. They have all this technology to look inside houses. With the LRAD, with the searchlight, you can look into anyone's house. And they have all these images and videos compiled of people's kids, and they would swap it. Quite often things are swapped. The details are all swapped. The neighbour's cat is swapped with your child. Quite often the house is swapped. And we've got the New South Wales Police Commissioner here doing all the swapping. They were in fact with Michelle Pogmore at the Operations Centre. As long as a number of kids. Quite often anyway, with the same goes with Mi5. They copied Australia. They have children there at the Operations Centre that when everyone's searching for them. So who are they in Oz and the UK, the Mi5? In Australia, they're the former ASIO and police and the ministers. In the United Kingdom, they're the ministers, Mi5 police and Mi6. So all the details are swapped. The child database, now they've got the database there. The details are swapped. Now we have solutions for all of these. There's a workaround solution for all of these. Anyone caught up in that can check out some of the solutions. Ideally the military should be doing this. But anyway, we'll get to the main, we won't go diverge on a different tangents. We'll stick with our main core concepts here. So everything is swapped. The videos are swapped. They say they're on your camera, they're on your computer. Quite often they'll forge the details. Everything is fabricated. So go back earlier, all the cases are all fabricated. Who they are in Oz and the UK, the Mi5, Mi6 in the United Kingdom. Brethren and the Freemasons. The head of Mi5 has devil worship cases. So you can easily see, you can check whether they're the foster parents of murdered kids. I'm drinking a yerba mate. The Magare asked me, the police commission asked me what I'm drinking, yerba mate. Quite nice actually. Now they would, with the brainwave, with the Mi5 technology, the cases are secret. They would quite often, they would say you're thinking about the kids next door, or you're thinking about having sex with your kids, the father against the child, and the cases will be done secret, etc., etc., etc. You're thinking about the kids, and they'll get the thought, and they would say that in court, representing Mi5 or representing ASIO in a secret hearing, which is very illegal, that you're thinking about your own kids sexually. And the jail sentence would be 20, 25 years, and then they would devil worship you. After the hearing, they would devil worship you. Now, Mi5, Mi6, now what they do, now, just say for example, you've uncovered something. You worked out, you looked at my work, you realise that they're at the operations centre. They're telling me they're going to get me and all the rest, and to stop. I'm not afraid of them. Hammer the shit out of them. Hammer them. Hardcore. Anyway. What'd you say? Don't worry, we got your body bags ready with your name on it. Anyway. Okay, Mi5, Mi6 pagan. Now just say you looked at my work and you uncovered something where missing child was, and now you're certain, you got the evidence. What they would do, they send the devil worshippers after you with Mi5, Mi6 equipment, and this is how they do it. They stalk you online. So when you're commenting, go to a page, they would follow you to that page online. If you comment, they would reply to that comment. Quite often they're not. They did in Australia. I don't know what happened. Don't ask me. Anyway, they vanished. Anyway, so when I would comment, they would also comment. Henrique, chicken stench Henrique, with his boyfriend, said something to me. Anyway, so they would send devil worshippers monitoring with Mi5, Mi6 equipment. They would monitor you online, and they'd stalk you online, and they'd intercept you. Now their weakness is that they can never get caught because they get caught for everything. And they're going to murder you, and they're going to devil worship you. So who they are is Mi5 and Mi6 and the local authorities, and they stalk you online. Another thing they do when they get busted, they come and insert the wrong information. When they walk in backwards, as we covered in the beginning, they say they will they say we're doing that work, blame someone completely inoculant. They will blame someone completely different, off the mark. And the reason they do that, and then you follow them because they're their senior management, other directors, etc., giving a direction that you have to follow. And you would do that. And I've done that myself. I just follow orders. I'm in the military, in the Navy Admiral, Mi6, Naval Intelligence Head of USMI. I follow orders. And it doesn't matter if they're lower rank than you. If they got the authority to give you their directions, we would follow the directions, even with the FBI. Christopher Wray, they would come in, they'd insert the wrong information. And we've got considerable experience. And I teach all our operations people the same thing. Our operations girls in the Navy that have only been there for just say 2 years. All their little tricks and things. And these coming from, like Christopher Wray, they're coming from the head of Mi5. They would come and insert wrong information. Then, when it gets to court, so 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years down the track, the information that you've collected is correct initially, but then they've inserted incorrect information. They say the whole thing is wrong. They would say the whole thing is wrong. So my information I keep all separate from them, which double check everything. Everything has to be double checked, all facts have to be double checked. So when it gets to court, it's all incorrect, and they would pull the whole thing. Their aim is to pull the work down. So they deploy a number of different strategies of walking in backwards, and you would see them. They were literally walking backwards into the building. And that's a telltale sign. A telltale sign that they're going to take the work down. So they would insert the wrong information, and a few years later when it gets to court, it's all incorrect, and they would bring the work down. They blame the wrong people. So see what child cases they have. Even Christopher Wray has child murder cases. And he said, I'm not the FBI. I've been with the FBI for 19, and they say we're not. And then they're framing you for child murder, for the very case that you're working on. See what child cases they have and see if they're the foster parents. Even Christopher Wray is the foster parents with child cases. They have child cases they want to keep secret. So they're quite often they're framing someone. They have secret hearings. They use cognitive technologies. If you read deep into our work, you can figure that out. Give you feelings and different things. The pedophile cops have it. They can insert a thought. Well, they say that you have the thoughts. They can record your thoughts. And everything is categorized into Windows containers, your brain, your thoughts. And they say you're thinking about your kids sexually, etc. And that'll be the basis for the case. And then they're all devil worshippers, and they'll devil worship you after the case. That's what they used to do here in Australia. Melissa Caddick, she was devil worship. Those cops were devil worshippers. They picked her up. The Australian Securities Commission, they were the task force. They all went to prison for devil worshipping kids. I put them into prison for devil worshipping kids. They devil worshipped Melissa Caddick. Barbecued and ate the body. So the devil worshippers, God bless us. So here they are, in the United Kingdom, the Mi5. In Australia, it's all being resolved. Not resolved, they call that resolved. That's a crazy double meaning. It's being, I've got to come up with my own terms that reflect what I asked the Navy. What you are? What completed. Thank you. It's being completed. There you go. It's the best in the world. Now I've got help. And I did all the solutions for everything. Finally go on a date or something. I ended up being by myself doing this work 24 hours for 19 years. It's been completed. I think I don't want to go into it. I want to take us on. Anyway, so the FBI devil worship. People say it's crude, and I don't know what getting into it. There has to be a level of crudeness. It's basic crime scene analysis. I can't be edited. The answer is it can't be edited. It's not allowed to be edited. Right now, so covered walking in backwards. And quite often you see them on TV walking in backwards. You see them coming into the building walking in backwards. They have a bit of flair. They have child cases. They would stalk. If you uncover something, they would stalk you. Pagan, in Mi5, Mi6 pagan. White people as well as black people. People in office would have a devil worship case. Quite often in a night check to see if they're with the ministers, any missing children. And you won't find the body because you've got to examine the fire pit. Get the DNA from the fire pit. They char the body in a fire pit, wank on the body and eat the body with their prostitutes. And triangulate their mobiles data. And prior to that, they would have an animal being killed. They would show an animal deaths. Would signal to all the devil worshippers that they're getting together for a devil worship. Fish kills in Menindee. For example, we got the devil worshippers there. Mi5 came out here. The British devil worshippers all went out there for the fish kill to Menindee with their kids, with their foster kids. We intercepted them. The military rescued all the kids. Did it all secretly. I was pivotal to that, so was the Navy, so was the military, and all the devil worshippers went out there that did a fish killing in Andy. They all went in there. You never believe, renting the houses, and we were all waiting for them to arrive, and they all arrived. Then they were apprehended. Kids were saved. I think they waited for the last minute for that. They got the fire, they see it, and they're about to. Then the mother ran in and grabbed the kid when they're about to put the kid into the circular pit. They choose one. They got their kids. And then they got the foster kids, Aboriginal and Asian or someone they believed to be lesser of a person. Then they would choose one of them, choose them against their girls, quite often pretty girl. Choose the pretty girl and they would devil worship the other girl. They would choose one of them. And then when they were choosing them, their mother ran in and grabbed them, and then lights went on and they were apprehended together with the National Party. Instrumented of fish kills in Menindee. we're going to announce all that. So who they are, child cases they keep secret. Mind Reader, they use Mind Reader, catalogue your head in a different porn database. It's a surveillance database. And they would swap it. Everything is swapped. So they say the images are on your camera. Their images are on their camera. And they're all pedophiles as well. The pedophiles are with the devil worshippers. The devil worshippers look after the pedophiles, and they encourage debauchery and paganism in the church and all sorts of things, together with the gay and lesbian people, debauchery, or with Satan. Surveillance police photos. They say that your photos of your child, and then you're thinking about them, and then the pedophile cops would say in court that you're thinking about them sexually. Ask for a 20-year sentence, put you into jail, frame you for their database. And it's all bad. It's all bad with these devil worshippers. It's really bad. Everything's swapped. Who are they in Oz? Former ASIO, ABC, ministers, TV people, United Kingdom, the same thing. They copied Australia. United States, the same thing. Except for the senators, as far as we know. When they come into power, they were devil worshipper child. Quite often not there at the operation centre. Essentially, they're the Brethren and the Freemasons, and they have these ceremonies. They have the ceremony clothes, adorn the attire. They would insert a thought. They would say that you have thoughts about your kids, etc., sexually. Then they send people to your house, emergency. This is what I forgot to cover. They send emergency, fire ambulance, because they're at the operation centre. Send the fire trucks, and the fire people will noose you up, hang you, ambulance, police, send devil worshippers, and then after that, constantly sending people to your house, constantly sending people to your house. And then amongst them would be a murderer. They'd send a murderer every now and again. They send someone to kill you. So they stalk you online. And then together with coming in backwards, they'd insert the wrong information, blame the wrong people, and then the work will be wrong. The aim is to take the work down. And together with mental health as well. They'll say it's all crazy, that you're mental. They'll say you're all mental as well. They'll say that you're mental. So you've got to see whether they have trial cases. And the doctors are part of the ceremony as well. The doctors are very much part of it as well. And they'll never let you go. If you say that to the doctors, they'll never let you out and give you medication, and they'll euthanize you by giving you heaps of medication. It's very dangerous, those doctors. So we need to remove all the top of all the hierarchy around the world. And the head of Mi5 has devil worship cases. I got in a stoush with him. I'm the director of Mi6. I fought my way here. I'm staying here. You can't fight. So he's into the office. I'm out here on the front line. Hammering. Okay, so we covered all that. You are over.